This is Coffee with God, and I am Father Jose. Let us begin this day with the Word of God and a short reflection.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 6, verses 24 to 34. Passage taken from the Message version of the Bible. You can't worship two gods at once. Loving one God, you will end up hating the other. Adoration of one feeds contempt for the other. You can't worship God and money both. If you decide for God, living a life of God worship, it follows that you don't fuss about what's on the table at meal times, or whether the clothes in your closet are in fashion. There is far more to your life than the food you put in your stomach, more to your outer appearance than the clothes you hang on your body. Look at the birds, free and unfattened, not tied down to a job description, careless in the care of God, and you can't far more to Him than birds. Has anyone by fussing in front of the mirror ever gotten taller by so much as an inch? At this time and money waste on fashion, do you think it makes that much differences? Instead of looking at the fashions, walk out into the fields and look at the white flowers. They never prim or shop, but have you ever seen color and design quite like it? The 10 best dressed men and women in the country look shabby alongside them. If God gives such attention to the appearance of white flowers, most of which are never ever seen, don't you think He will attend to you? Take pride in you. Do His best for you. What I'm trying to do here is to get you to relax, to not be so preoccupied with getting, so you can respond to God's giving. People who don't know God and the way He works fuss over these things, but you know both God and how He works. Steep your life in God's reality, God initiative, God provisions. Don't worry about missing out. You will find all your everyday human concerns will be met. Give your entire attention to what God is doing right now, and don't get worked up about what may or may not happen tomorrow. God will help you deal with whatever hard things comes up when the time comes. The Gospel of the Lord.
Reflections on the Gospel according to St. Matthew chapter 6, verses 24 to 34. You cannot serve God and wealth. Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious. Do not worry about your life. Worshipping money or wealth was a problem even in the days of Jesus as it is today. All the worries about life and anxieties originates from the worship of wealth instead of worshipping God. We live in an age of anxieties. Today's Gospel invites us to abandon ourselves into the hands of God our Father and worship Him alone. Then we move from fear and anxiety to trust and faith because He is our Father who cares for us. The early church in the community of the evangelist Matthew was so concerned about the material possessions and the use of wealth. Many of the rich people nurtured the perfect excuse that wealth and riches are the blessings from God. But the real issue was about how to utilize this wealth. Therefore, the Gospel cautions the community to pay attention, not to give their hearts to the money god. The message is all the more relevant for the members of the church today. Reliance on one's wealth and riches can only bring one to greater anxieties and fears. Real peace of mind and happiness in life comes from God the Father. Matthew moves his attention from the rich people of his community to the poorer ones. They were the ones struggling for their daily needs. The evangelist brings them Jesus' message of consolation. Do not be worried about life, he says. Jesus encouraged his disciples to place their trust in God. If God is our Father, he also knows for sure all the needs of his children. A God who takes care of every little plant and every living creature on this planet will not abandon us, his children. The gospel reminds us today of our value as God's children. God's children carry the image of God. The gospel also cautions us today about how to value our fellow brethren who are around us. It is not uncommon in today's world that many people consider their pet animals and birds more valuable than people. The message of the gospel is clear. We are of greater value than all the plants, birds, fish, and animals of this world. Matthew, through the words of Jesus, reminds his community to trust the God of the enough. Worries and fears are signs of our inadequate faith. Therefore, a Christian who trusts in God the Father cannot afford to be anxious. You cannot be scared. Jesus was realistic. In his prayer, Jesus had taught us to pray, "Give us each day our bread for the day." All that we ask for is the need of this day. Each day's trust would remove each day's worries.